Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon, and this week I'm attempting to make a shoe out of solid chocolate. First things first, I need to make a mould using reusable food-safe moulding gel. And to do that, I need a container. So I'm going to use Lego to make a container so I can get it as close to the shoe as possible so we don't need as much moulding gel. And I'm using a new shoe for obvious reasons. I hope it's obvious. Just build the Lego walls up higher and higher around the shoe all the way up to the top. Now I ended up making it go across the front of the shoe so we don't use as much moulding gel because we're going to need to fill it all the way up to the height of the back of the shoe. To stop the moulding gel from going inside the shoe, I'm going to stuff it full of reusable plastic shopping bags, really as tightly as I can, just shoving them in there and then having one that's sort of rounded on top. Make sure when you look at the shoe from the side, the bags are not visible. You don't want them sticking out the top, just a little bit below that top level. Now, I've never done this before and I am concerned that the moulding gel is going to seep into the tiny holes in the fabric and get stuck in the shoe, making the two inseparable. So to try and prevent that from happening, I'm going to spray it with cooking oil. I don't even know if this will work, but I guess we'll find out when we unmold the shoe. Pour some moulding gel into the base of your container so that we can get the imprint of the sole. Then wriggle the shoe back in, just pushing that down there. And then pour some more moulding gel in. The shoe is kind of floating to the top and going to one side, so I'm going to add a piece of Lego to hold it down and let that bit set first. Once that's set, you can take that Lego off and pour in more gel. Unfortunately, this is the last of my moulding gel and it's nowhere near enough. So I'm going to have to pause filming this video here and go order some more reusable moulding gel. Now we can get back into it. Melt your moulding gel and then fill up the container all the way up to the top. And then of course we're going to have to wait for this moulding gel to set. Finally, it is set and it's time to break off all the Lego that we carefully built up so that we can get into the mould. Alright, so now we have a shoe encased in moulding gel and my concern is, of course, are we going to be able to get it out or has that moulding gel seeped into the fabric and we'll never get the two apart? We also have to think about where we want the join to be. I don't want it at the top or over the laces because that's too complicated an area, so I'm going to cut across the bottom and down the back and see if we can get this thing out. The gel is quite soft, so you can just run a knife over it and then gently pull the two edges apart to check you've cut the whole way through. In areas where it's a bit thicker, like at the toe of the shoe because the toe sits a little bit up off the ground, if you haven't got all the way through, just hold it open and then cut along the same line until you are through. Then do the same down the back of the shoe. That should do. And then let's see if we can get this thing out. It will come off the vinyl because that's smooth. I thought it would come off there, but I'm more worried about the actual fabric. We did oil it. So far it seems to be slowly coming off if I push it with my fingers. You can see in there it is lifting off. Wonderful. You have no idea what a relief that is because I actually really thought they were going to get fused together and then that would be the end of this video. Goodbye, finished, fail. Hopefully the lace area works as well. That's also very intricate. I'm just using my fingers to gently sort of reach in and ease it off on both sides. And then finally we can lift out the shoe. I can see some moulding gel here and around the laces. That's going to mean our mould might not be looking great because we've lost some of our gel, so we will have lost some of our detail. Any little bits that are sticking a long way out, that's just going to get the chocolate stuck in it. So I'm going to trim those off. They will be from where the gel has gone into a hole in the shoe, and then get rid of any little loose bits of gel that have broken off. And then after that, we're just going to have to sort out the problems once it's actually chocolate, and then just recarve it and try and fix it. It looks pretty good. We'll see how it goes. While I was getting the shoe out of the mould, it's ripped a bit here. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of melted moulding gel into the gap and glue the two pieces back together, and do the same thing on the other side. That's looking better. And then I'm also going to add some extra gel along the back so that we only have an opening at the top, because I don't want the chocolate to pour out, obviously. How much chocolate do you think we'll need to fill the chocolate shoe? Do you reckon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks will be enough? I'm kind of hoping so, because that is a lot of chocolate. Then you want to take that chocolate, melt it and temper it. If you don't know how to temper chocolate, click on how to cook that under this video and it will take you through to my channel, and you'll find a video there called Chocolate Secrets. If you don't temper your chocolate, then anything that you make out of chocolate will be very soft and not properly set at room temperature. Unless, of course, you're using fake chocolate with vegetable fat in it, but then that doesn't taste very nice, so we don't want to do that. It's time to fill the shoe. Just open up the sole and pour in the melted chocolate. I've put mine into a jug to make this bit a little bit easier to handle. Keep filling it up until it's overfull, and then tap on the sides to get rid of any air bubbles. We don't want bubbles or little air pockets on the details of the shoe. Because chocolate is quite thick, if you don't do this, then you are definitely going to get air bubbles. Because there is so much chocolate, I am concerned that it's too heavy for the mold and it's just going to split open, so I'm going to support it with some tape around the whole thing. That looks a bit more secure. Now we can scrape off the extra chocolate from the top, just put that back in the bowl, and add some tape across to hold it together at the join of the sole of the shoe. Let me know in the comments how much chocolate you think it took to fill the shoe. Just let me know in grams or ounces, whatever country you're from, and I will pin the comment that is correct or the closest to correct. Now we're going to have to wait till tomorrow to be sure that this is set right the way through. The moment of truth. Cut off the tape and let's get this thing out of the mold so we can see if it looks like a shoe or just a mess. Look at that, that's not too bad. We've got to do a bit of work on it obviously, and it is a little bit on the wide side. The chocolate's pushed the mold a little bit out. Here at the join of the mould where we had cut down the back, the chocolate seeped into that cut, so we need to trim that extra off. I like using a serrated knife for taking off bigger chunks, and then just swap to a blade to just shave off small amounts because that leaves it looking nice and smooth. This next process is just like carving, but you've already got a really good starting point. You know exactly where everything is and how deep it goes. You just need to neaten it up, especially around this laces area where the gel went under the laces. So when we removed the shoe, some of the gel from the top of the laces came with it, so our mold wasn't quite correct. Despite my best efforts, there are still a few air bubbles, so I am going to just fill those with some chocolate, because you don't usually see holes like that in shoes. Well, I hope not anyway, not when they're new. And there are a couple of spots again on the laces where we need a little bit of repair. Just look at the actual shoe and see what it's supposed to look like, and then just use some chocolate in a piping bag just to fix that up again. It was mainly the loops along the laces there that needed fixing. Everything else was pretty good. And so that doesn't look too bad, but I think I'd rather see it in gold. So I'm just going to brush the whole thing with edible gold luster dust. I love the way this just sticks to the chocolate. I am going to leave the sole brown and then just use a skewer or a toothpick to run along the lines on the shoe so that they're more defined. Pop that into a shoebox and you've got an epic present. Share this video with a friend you'd like to give this to. Click here for the channel, here for more chocolate creations, here for cakes, and here for desserts. Make it a great week by loving others, and I'll see you on Friday.